Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go over some improvements we can do to the RedCat Gen8 to improve the steering geometry. As you may know, this RedCat Gen8 has issues with the way that its steering is set up, and it's got poor steering geometry. And what happens with this poor steering geometry is that you get bump steer. So here's a look at the bump steer issue with the Gen8. Here you can see how it has bump steer at full compression. And the reason for that is the Gen8 uses the 3-link panhard rod setup in the front with the chassis mounted servo. In order to minimize the bump steer, you're going to have the correct steering geometry in order to get rid of that. So first, let's discuss why this issue happens. The Gen8 has a traditional panhard rod in the back with chassis mounted servo and a drag link tie rod setup of a 3-link suspension. In order to have the correct geometry to prevent bump steer, the panhard rod and the drag link need to be at the same exact angle. Now, on the Gen8 in particular, the panhard rod has a steeper angle than the drag link, and that's what causes the bump steer. So what can we do to address this? Well, usually on the other RCs I've worked on, it's usually the drag link that has a steeper angle than the panhard rod, and in that case I usually put a spacer after the servo horn to kind of move this part of the drag link down or up as needed. If I needed to move it up, I usually have the option to move the servo up towards the chassis by mounting the servo on the other side and using spacers or whatnot. In the case of the Gen8, moving the servo is not an option. If you'll notice, there's no way to mount the servo on the other side of the chassis. It can only be mounted from the bottom. So what can we do? Well, in this part, I'm going to go over a free mod that you can do without any extra parts, just kind of repositioning some of these parts in order to get it closer to matching geometry between the panhard bar and the drag link. So what can we do to make the drag link match the angle of the panhard rod? Well, we can either move the upper portion of this drag link up higher towards the chassis with a lower profile servo horn to give that steeper angle, or we can move this part of the drag link down more so that we can get that steeper angle. Since we're going over the free mod option, what we're going to do is to move the lower part of this drag link down. Now if you'll notice, this drag link or this tie rod here is connected to the top of the steering knuckle. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this tie rod and mount it to the bottom of the steering knuckle. Okay, as you can see, I've moved this tie rod from being mounted above the steering knuckle to below the steering knuckle right here, or below the hinge. Alright, so before I show you the effect of bump steer, let's take a look once again at the angle of the panhard rod and the steering link or drag link. You'll see that it's got a more matching angle. Alright, now here's the bump steer test. You'll see it's got less bump steer than before. It's still got some, but not as bad of an angle as it was before. And that's pretty much the free steering mod you can do to your Gen 8 to minimize the bump steer. That pretty much covers the free mod that you can do to minimize bump steer on your Gen 8 Scout. I will make another video to see what other options we have of minimizing bump steer on this vehicle. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.